This season of Moments with Ndero podcast is powered by workspaceglobal.com, branding made easy. Hey, welcome to season 7 of Moments with Ndero podcast, a space where you will be inspired, encouraged, and uplifted. Wherever you're listening or tuning in from, I truly appreciate you. Today's guest is the CFO, co-founder, and co-host of Next Level University, a global top 100 self-improvement podcast with more than 700 episodes and 1 million listens over 170 countries. So some people find rock bottom. He found out that rock bottom has a basement. In his mid-20s, he had it all. A beautiful girlfriend, high-paying job, sports car, dream body. Yet he ended up sitting on the edge of a bed, debating suicide. After his rock bottom moment, he went all in on holistic self-improvement, just being very determined to overcome anxiety, depression, and to finally live the life he'd always dreamed of. Welcome onto the show, Kevin.
Muthoni, thank you so very much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
So who is Kevin?
A question I ask myself every single day. Today, Kevin is a man who wants to add value to people's lives, and ultimately he wants to be the type of person that he needed when he was at his lowest point. That is really why I do what I do and why I am where I am today.
You know, it's so interesting where you've just mentioned you're doing what you're doing because you were hoping to have found someone like yourself at this point earlier on in your life. And that really resonates with me because, I mean, I've gone through my various struggles, and when I sought encouragement, when I sought inspiration, I got none. So that's the essence of this podcast, to help someone out there to keep going, to keep believing in themselves, and to keep ensuring that you keep showing up every single day. So hitting rock bottom, I did. And I think for me, it was 2015. And, you know, you're just like, what is going on? Business wasn't adding up. You're going for sales meetings, the deals aren't being closed. So it was a difficult moment. And for me, one of the moments that triggered me to keep moving forward was just the resolve to not give up. You found out that there was a basement at rock bottom. If you're willing to, just take us through what that felt like and what made you just have the switch of, no, I need to live once more.
My initial rock bottom was in 2015 as well.
Wow.
So it's interesting how that happened. So my initial rock bottom, just quickly for context, is at that point, that is the point where my girlfriend was a model. I was competing in a bodybuilding show, so I was quite literally in the best shape of my life. I had a sports car, I had all the stuff, all the external stuff. My girlfriend at the time ended up leaving me because I was very depressed, I was very anxious, and it was very hard for me to pour into someone else when I could barely keep myself afloat. So when she left, I convinced myself that if I just made a bunch of money, this internal stuff would probably just kind of work itself out. Enough money will probably fix this stuff that I have going on. So I spent the next year grinding my face off, trying to make as much money as humanly possible with the hopes that that would make me feel good about myself for maybe the first time in my life. I got to the end of the year and I made $100,000 at 26 with no college degree, and nothing internally changed. I was just as insecure. I was just as low on self-worth, just as low on self-belief, just as low on self-love. So I realized that for most of my life, I had lived unconsciously, especially that year. The opposite of unconscious is hyperconscious. So I started a podcast in 2017 called the Hyperconscious Podcast. I wanted to have deep talks with deep people. That was it. Let's have cool conversations. I fell in love with podcasting as I fell out of love with my job. I've reached the pinnacle of what I'm going to do here. I don't want to do it again. I'm not willing to travel like I was. I'm not willing to stay in hotels. I don't want to do it anymore. So I started calling out of work. I started leaving the job sites early. I started showing up late. My depression got worse. My anxiety got worse. My mental health got worse. And eventually I woke up in a hotel room 6 hours away from where I lived. We were traveling that week for work. And when I woke up, it was like there was 10 televisions on in my head at the same time, and every single one was on a different station. Mm-hmm. And one was saying, Kev, you're stuck at this job. You got lucky to get this career. You're never going to make this kind of money again. What are we going to do? You're just going to leave? There's no way. If you did leave, what would your friends think? You make more money than your friends. There's significance there. What would your family think? You make more money than anybody in your family. There's significance there. And are you really going to be a podcaster? That's what we're going to do. That's our plan B. And in that moment, I thought to myself, well, if I was just to take my life, I would take all of my problems with me. The thing that really got me out of that dark place, got me out of that scarcity, got me out of that challenging thought process was I reached out to someone. I had someone very close to me who I trusted, who I felt safe with, who I could be vulnerable with. I reached out to him and I explained what I was going through, what I was feeling, what I was thinking about. And he gave me some really good reframes and he instilled a new level of hope in me. And I ended up leaving my job a few months later, partnering up with him, and then we went into business together. So it was really the fact that I felt like I had a bridge where I could reach out to someone and they wouldn't judge me. They wouldn't look at me differently. They wouldn't think I was broken or less than because I was having these thoughts. Somebody I felt safe with gave me advice, and then I was able to take that advice and move forward.
You've said something so important where you need to seek out the individuals who see you for who you are, who won't judge you, who won't belittle you. It's so necessary. So for whoever is listening, please ensure that when you're opening up and sharing your struggles, it's with someone you can trust and someone who will take you as you are. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where individuals will just take this information and use it against you and tear you down. So with that, unfortunately. So with that said, now one of the questions that you had asked yourself on the bed was, am I going to continue with podcasting? And you have. So how has that journey been? I mean, being able to do over 1,700 episodes, that is amazing. Take us through that journey until now.
Yeah, so I'd like to say when I left my job, that was it, and things got way better, and then we were successful. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. Yeah. The first few years after I left my job were nothing short of brutal. They were just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially taxing. When I left my job, I had $10,000 saved up, and I had access to $30,000 of credit cards. 2 years in, all of those credit cards were maxed out, and I was completely out of money. So it was a really, really, really challenging place to be, where when my car broke down, I couldn't get it fixed. One year, I couldn't even get Christmas presents for my girlfriend, who's now my wife, because I was just so broke. Eventually, it got to the place where the necessity was high enough. And then we said, okay, how do we turn this into a business? So I started coaching people for free. That was the journey for me, was, okay, we have a show about self-improvement. I guess it makes sense that we would coach people on self-improvement. Let's see what that's all about. So I reached out to 5 people who I knew listened to the podcast. I offered to coach them for free. They all said yes. And then at the end of the 2 months or whatever it was, I said, I can't do this for free anymore because we're doing more episodes and my schedule is kind of filling up. What do you think of $50 a call? And everybody said yes. So I went from $0 to $250 a week. And that was like, oh my goodness, this could possibly be a thing. And then we started doing more episodes and having guests on and traveling to interview people. And eventually we started to build a team. And then people asked us if we could help them with podcasting. So then we made a podcast department, and then social media, and then we get hired to speak. So it really was just trying to get a little bit better every day. Always focusing on self-improvement. That's always been the through line. The podcast, the business, my skills will only be as good as I am. And then we always had one major focus, the podcast. We can't miss. We have to give 100% effort to the podcast for as long as it exists, because that is the thing. That is the snowball that has created all of this. You can never lose sight of the thing that created the momentum in the first place. And now we do an episode every day, and we have a 21-person team, and we look quote unquote successful, but it has taken 7 years and a long, long time and a lot of effort to get to where we are today.
Can I just give you a round of applause?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Because I'm just listening to your story, and all I'm hearing is perseverance, and not assuming just because I'm doing a thing that I just need to stay within my comfort zone. Because many of us, when we're pursuing something, we get caught up in the comfort of it, be it the success or be it the grind, where you're always saying, I'm okay here, I'm okay doing X, Y, and Z, when in fact, you're able to achieve more outside of your comfort zone. So someone is seated across you right now and they're stuck. How would you help them to recognize that self-improvement just starts from within us? And how can they make the necessary steps to get unstuck?
Yeah, I would probably say to that person, much like I would say to myself, I know it's hard to believe. It might be even harder to hear, but one of the big reasons you're not succeeding at the rate you want to is you. Not to make you feel bad. We don't have to personalize it, but it might be a lack of clarity. It might be a lack of awareness. It might be a lack of grit. It might be a lack of consistency. It might be a lack of belief. It might be a lack of self-worth. There is something inside of you that is holding you back, just like there's many things inside of you that are propelling you forward. But if you're stuck right now at this point of time, we have more things that are holding us back than propelling us forward. So we have to sit down and figure out what those are. And the best way to do it is to work on self-improvement, self-awareness, work on your character, work on your competence. Your business, your relationship, the results that you want out of life are very, very, very rarely going to exceed you. And if they do, that's also not a great place to live, because you're going to feel like an imposter for the rest of your life, and you don't want to be there either. So I would say something along those lines. And I would say, here's the other thing too. When it comes to fear chasing and getting outside of your comfort zone, everybody tells you to get outside of your comfort zone, but nobody really ever tells you how far to get outside of your comfort zone. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's self-identify. How much belief do you have in yourself? How much do you believe in your own unique capability to accomplish whatever it is you want? 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. Love it. We need to start setting you up to face level 6 fears. We need to get you setting level 6 goals. Because one of the reasons I think a lot of us get stuck is because we are told that if your goals do not scare you, they're not big enough. I think a lot of us are afraid of life because life is hard. The last thing you need to do is be afraid of your goals unless you have 10 out of 10 self-belief. Then that's probably good. But we don't want you running away from your goals. We want you running towards your goals. So sometimes I think we break our fears up into smaller pieces. It's okay to make the goal a little bit smaller so we can build momentum. And sometimes that's the best way to get unstuck.
You know, it's so interesting to hear different perspectives on comfort zones. And I like what you said, you know, where are you on the scale of 1 to 10? And if you're at 5 out of 10, that's okay. How do we get you to pursue goals of 6 out of 10? Because sincerely, sometimes if we say we are pursuing 10 out of 10 goals, we'll just stay stuck, because honestly, the grandeur of what we're trying to achieve is so big that we're just like, you know what, it's never that serious. So I appreciate that, where someone can break it down to small bite-sized goals, and you can continue building the momentum as time goes by. Now, with that said, unfortunately, we have naysayers around us. And when we decide to continue with the momentum, we keep hearing those noises around us. How do you ensure that you keep going on your journey, making sure that the voices from the exterior or the external world are not holding you back or slowing you down?
That is a really challenging one because oftentimes the voices from the outside are the ones closest to us and they're from the people that we love the most. And that makes it really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
A couple things have helped me. Anytime it's been somebody very close to me, it's not necessarily that they don't want to see me succeed. It's most likely the fact that they're afraid I'm going to fail and they just don't want to see me hurt. Many people are unintentionally holding you back because they're afraid you're going to get hurt and they love you and they don't want to see that. So it's helped me understand that it's not necessarily negative. It's not necessarily intentional pain that they're giving me. They're just trying to help me avoid pain in the future. That's been one. The second thing is very early on, I started to understand that for every kiss on the cheek I get on one side, I'll most likely get a slap on the other side. I value the kisses more than I do the slaps. And you're going to get way more kisses than you're going to get slaps. That I can tell you. You're going to get way more. So you have to understand that those kisses to you, whatever those kisses mean, right? Not actual kisses. We're not weird like that. But whatever those kisses are to you, they're more worth it than whatever is coming on the other side, whatever's getting the other cheek. And then this is something that I've really had to sit with because as you get more exposure, you get more opportunity for negativity.
Yes.
If somebody is taking time out of their day to spread negativity on the positivity that you are trying to create, they are probably not super fulfilled. They are probably not super happy. They're probably not super deeply in love, and they probably don't feel like they have a very bright future. So I try to empathize with the fact that at one point that was me. Was I commenting negatively on people's stuff? No, but I can imagine a world where maybe I would have. So it's less about you than we realize. It's more about the person leaving the comment. It's more about the person giving you the negativity than it is you. Maybe eventually they'll come around, but you showing up as the authentic version of you, doing what you love and chasing your purpose every day will be a mirror to a lot of people who aren't doing it. The best advice I can give is try to depersonalize it. They are just taking what's inside of them and trying to throw it at you because it's very hard to see someone shine when you don't feel like you can. So I try to have empathy for those people. Am I at the stage where I'm that transcendent? Not quite, but I always try to have empathy and say, look, if somebody took 5 minutes to write this, they're probably struggling right now. And I have empathy for that and I hope they get through it.
That's powerful. Yeah. Just realize that they're going through something. And you know what? We were once there, in our lower version of ourselves where we just were like, why are they shining? They're shining too bright. Yeah. But when we work on ourselves, we recognize that we too can shine. And that's something that's very important to keep at the forefront of our minds. So you shared a phrase before our conversation started, and I just want to read it out. Your reality becomes the part of your imagination that you hold on to and pour into the longest. What does that mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that get stuck in this cycle of imagining that they're going to be broke and imagining they're going to be single and imagining that they're not going to be successful and imagining all this negativity. And unfortunately, oftentimes it ends up becoming their reality. Where on the opposite end, there's a lot of people who imagine a brighter future and these goals and this alignment and this love and this fulfillment, and it ends up happening. For episode number 7 of the podcast back in 2017, I said one day, I want to wake up when I want. I want to go to sleep when I want. I want to podcast with amazing people, go to the gym when I want. I want to be my own boss. I want to do this podcasting thing professionally. If I could do that, that would be the best. And over the last 7 years, I have hung on to that every single day. I have hung on to that thought. And every single day I have poured into that thought. And now that is my reality. My reality became the parts of my imagination that I held on to. I didn't let people beat it out of me. I didn't let people convince me I couldn't do it. I didn't let the world get rid of my imagination. and we poured into it every single day. So that is my firm belief is you have to hang on to it. You have to believe in it, but you have to pour into it too. You have to take action every single day. And ultimately, your reality is going to look different 5, 10, 15, 20 years from today. But will it be by design or will it be by accident? If you're pouring into it and hanging on to a future that you are desiring, I'm willing to bet you're more likely to create it. But if you're hanging on to, well, I'm never going to find love and I'm never going to be successful and I'm always going to be broke, unfortunately, you might actually be creating that reality because you might not take the actions to take you out of that reality. So it is a quote that's very near and dear to my heart because I get to live my dreams every day. And I didn't always think this was possible, but I tried to pour into it every day, even when I didn't.
You know, I am just lost for words because it's such a powerful thing that you've shared, because people need to recognize that thoughts create worlds, and that your mind is so powerful that whatever you focus on, it will take you right there. It may not take you tomorrow, like the immediate tomorrow, but it will eventually get you where you have been focusing on. So it's just very important for whoever is listening or watching that mind your thoughts, because thoughts turn into words. Words are seeds where you may speak something into existence. So just imagine you've planted a seed in the ground, and eventually it will bring a harvest. Whatever that harvest will be, brokenness, fulfillment, fulfilling purpose, whatever it is. And I just hope someone is holding on to that whatever you are pursuing, whatever you are hoping to achieve, hang on to it, pour into it, just like a farmer is going to pour into the seed in the ground. Keep showing up for your dreams. Regardless of what life throws at you, it is so important to do so. So with that said, your younger self is seated across you, and they're wondering, I have this dream, but I just don't know if it will come to pass. What would you tell him?
Man, I would probably say, how many of the things that you have in your life right now did you want 5 years ago? And then what did you do to get them? And hopefully that version of Kev would say, well, I'm in really good shape and I've been very consistent in the gym and I've learned a lot about it and I've taken a lot of action. Whatever you want is kind of the same. The next 5 years is going to be the same thing. You're very much in control of what you want. It's just a matter of whether or not you realize you are. That would be one thing I would say. I think the other thing I would say is humility is probably the most undervalued superpower on the planet. I know everybody wants to be confident and everybody wants to be achieving and they want to know that they can do it. But there's something sneaky about having humility. And I can't claim to understand it all. We're trying to figure out, where does humility really come from? Like, what is the formula for humility? I don't know yet. We're working on it. But there's something about you admitting the truth to yourself first, and then understanding that when you're seated and living in reality, the world is a different place. Humility is not saying, when somebody gives you a compliment, you saying, no, you're wrong. That's not true. That is self-deprecation. That is not humility. Humility is living in the truth. Hey, you look really great today. Thank you so much. I put a lot of effort into my outfit and I took some extra time to do my makeup today, or whatever it is, whatever the truth is. Humility is a superpower. I felt like I always tried to be humble. It's very hard to talk about humility without sounding arrogant. You can't really say like, I'm humble and it's a whole thing. But I think for a long time, I assumed humility was weakness in me. And now I think I'm realizing that humility is a superpower if it's real and you know how to leverage it, and it helps you live more in your truth. So that's probably something I would tell younger Kev as well.
Yes, humility is a superpower because it's also tied in with gratitude. When you're a grateful person, you're not taking anything for granted. And it's also something that It's birthed through humility, where you appreciate everything. As you've said, you're living in your truth, you're recognizing those around you, and you're also creating space for them to live in their truth. Yeah, so humility is a superpower. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to play a game, this or that.
Okay.
So movies or TV shows?
Oh my goodness. TV shows.
Any TV show that you're excited about currently?
My wife and I are watching The Bear.
Uh-huh.
Very excited about it.
Are you up to date, or you're still catching up from season 1?
Yeah, no, I think we're only on episode 4. So there's a lot of excitement from what I've heard. But yes. Yeah, so far I'm in love with it.
Good stuff. It's a good show. So keep watching it. Cats or dogs?
I am the ultimate cat dad, so cats.
Nice. Summer or winter?
Probably summer.
Salt or pepper?
Salt. Too much salt.
Oh dear. Are you introverted or extroverted?
Introverted.
Really? You know, it's interesting when I hear introverts, and then now you're like, but you have a podcast. You've done so many episodes. Nice one. Black or white?
Black.
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Oh my gosh, I am no longer. Facebook just doesn't, oh dear me. Nothing for me there. Comedy or horror?
Comedy. My wife doesn't watch horror, so it's a whole thing. I can't watch it with her.
Okay, no problem. And then love or money?
Money.
Do you want to add on to that? I've had people saying, no, I just need to clarify. Yes. Do you want to add anything?
I feel like I am more capable of facilitating a loving experience than making money. So I think love comes more naturally than money. So I feel like if I had to choose, I could still go get the love. But if I had to choose love, I might not be able to go get the money.
That's a good take. To give or to receive?
To give.
Friends or family?
Friends.
Love it. So as we wind down this conversation, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, or it could be the immediate future? And what are you hoping to achieve with your podcast in the future?
The ultimate goal with the podcast, as wild as it seems, is to have the most impactful self-improvement company on the planet. That's the reason we do an episode every day, and the reason we do things the way we do. The next 5 to 10 years, my goodness, I would say we'll be another 3,650 episodes into the podcast. So we'll be almost at 5,000 episodes, which is wild. My goal is for us to be impacting way more people. Whatever we're doing now a year, I want to do that in a month. Whatever we've done in the whole time, I want to do that every year. So the ultimate goal is just magnified and multiplied value, impact, profitability, and opportunity. I don't know the specifics because I didn't know where I was going to be 5 years ago. So I would just be throwing darts at a wild board. But I know the ultimate goal is to remain healthy, wealthy, in love, and deeply fulfilled. If I'm doing all those, I think life is going to be really good and the mission is going to be growing like we want it to.
Awesome. And what would be your closing remark if someone decided to press play at this point in time? What would you want them to take home?
Ooh. There are very few things about you that are fixed and will be stuck forever. There is so much about you that you are capable of shifting and evolving and changing and improving. And sometimes I know that can seem like a negative thought, but I think it is very, very positive because it just suggests that we are always a work in progress. And it's wonderful to be a work in progress.
I like that. We are a work in progress. And it also just lifts off the pressure off our shoulders and just gives us the room to enjoy life, make mistakes, learn from them, and just keep facing tomorrow. So I just want to appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on this show.
It was my pleasure. You're wonderful. All the love.
Thank you. So to whoever's listening out there, I hope you've picked one or two things from this conversation. For me, just keep showing up and choose to improve, because ultimately, whatever you focus on, you will get to. So until the next episode, continue being brave.